All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you guys for taking out some time on a Wednesday to check out a very exciting launch that we have today from Xcelerate. Um, this has been actually a really long time in coming. So the anticipation from my end has been very, very big. We've been working on this hard for quite a while. Some of you guys have worked with me in the past on business intelligence, on a bunch of different tools in regards to reporting. But this is a little bit different and this is a little bit better. And so we're very excited to come to market with Xcelerate Analytics. This is really the beginning, and we'll kind of talk through the journey, where we're starting and where we're headed with this new launch. So I understand some of you guys are already Xcelerate users, some of you guys are not. And so with that being said, I'm going to try to talk about the product in both ways for those who use Xcelerate and also for those who don't. But this is a pretty big initiative that we've worked on that we're very excited to walk through today. So thank you all for joining and very excited to kick things off. A little bit about me. I'm the director of product at Xcelerate. I have been with Xcelerate from the beginning. And this was always kind of a dream that we've had, was to be able to provide insights and analytics at that business level to a restoration contractor. We've tried a bunch of different ways to fulfill that, and this is by far the best product offering that we've had in regards to that. So where we're going to start today, we will get into a full demo of the product and where it's going to go, but we're going to just start with why any restoration contractor would be interested in something like this. The primary thing that many of you guys have already come to us saying you need is when you're looking at your jobs, you want to know whether a job's been profitable, and ultimately that rolls up to your business and whether or not your business is going to be profitable. So it is a difficult thing to know if a job's going to be profitable. I'll throw some numbers up on the screen that have come from some of the research that we've done. But the problem itself is that costs live in many different places. And so you're having to try to search to find a lot of the different information. It's not easy to aggregate it and bring it into one area. Things aren't updated as the job progresses. And so then you're unable to know when to look at something. There's change orders and sub-bills that come in late that delay real-time information. And then ultimately owners and managers are making decisions that are outdated. They're just not based on real-time data. Some of the numbers too on restoration owners who are flying blind, essentially, is that 58% of restoration business owners are relying on gut feel to determine whether a job is profitable, which is crazy, but that's still the way that a lot of the world operates, because there's just not enough visibility to have the data, to know and be confident about the data. Average margin for a rebuild job's 10 to 20%, compared to 50 to 80 on mitigation. That's just from the overall data that we've got. And then average time that everybody spends chasing information, chasing costs, 5 hours a week, just to try to capture that. And then with change orders that come in, the margins that get adjusted after a job's completed, 52% of the margin can shift based on something that is completed after the fact. So this is just some data that we've got to kind of, I'm sure some of this resonates with you guys as to the problem, as to the pain. And that's why somebody would look for something like an analytics solution or a business intelligence solution to help solve some of these problems. And what we were doing, and what some of you guys have been doing, is we were exporting data from the platform and then funneling it into some type of a product. It might have been Microsoft Power BI. It might have been Excel for some of you guys. It could have even been Google Sheets. But ultimately you would export the data, you'd bring it into some external source, and then you try to like analyze it. Well, you can stop doing that because we have a much better method moving forward. So now that we have this kind of integrated, these are some of the things that you'll be able to do. We're going to help you drive growth, improve profitability, and eliminate those extra tools, and have all of your insights and analytics within Xcelerate easy to find, easy to access. So the last thing I'm going to touch on regarding the numbers, businesses that track job level profitability are up to 33% more profitable than those that don't. So drilling down to your job itself and being able to identify profitability on the job level is what's going to roll up and ultimately give you the answers to your business's profitability, because everything rolls up from your job level profitability. So these are some of the things that we built into our current dashboard, but we're going to talk on that dashboard, how it works, how you guys can get access to it, and so forth. So the product itself. So what we chose to do was partner with Amazon QuickSight. I was new to Amazon QuickSight. This was not something that I was as familiar with. I had worked with some of you guys on Power BI, and I liked it. Power BI has always been a good product. There were some issues that we were running into with Power BI. And one of the main problems that we ran into was a lot of our customers are Apple customers. They might have Macs. And Power BI just was not very, it wasn't a good tool for them. And so we did run into that quite a bit with our Microsoft Power BI. The other thing, well, of course, was that it was separate. It was outside of Xcelerate. So you kind of had to be in Xcelerate, and then you'd have to go into Power BI to try to look at your data. And then refreshing often was manual. It was still something you'd have to go download and refresh. So we partnered with Amazon QuickSight, and Amazon QuickSight has, from what I've seen, all of the same visual tools that Power BI has. I haven't found anything yet that it cannot do that that Power BI could do. You know, calculated appeals, all the visuals that are necessary. It's got very good security. What we are doing is having the data from Xcelerate that you're entering and all that information, it is getting nightly refreshed into the QuickSight database. And so because of that, we now have all of it stored, and then within Xcelerate, you will be able to access the dashboard. So this is our technology partner. We didn't build everything from scratch. And why that's a good thing is our dashboard is not static. This is one of the biggest things that is going to make Xcelerate Analytics thrive. Is in the past, you may have had a dashboard, or you may have seen a dashboard, and the way that the experience would be to update it would be very, very slow. But because we partnered with Amazon QuickSight, if there's a visual that we need to add and get it disseminated to our customer base, we can go into the platform, create the visual in 2 minutes, click publish, and everybody gets it. So in theory, we could make 30 changes today and publish 30 updates today, and everybody would get all 30 of those visual changes immediately in real time. So cycle time of your, let's just call it request of what needs to be changed or what visual needs to be added is going to be very, very short. So all that to say, Xcelerate Analytics is launching today. It will have a standard dashboard, but every user of this standard dashboard will have a say in what is included in this dashboard, and it's going to be updated very, very frequently. There's going to be a feedback loop that at a minimum, we will be publishing the changes and requests you guys have every week. And it could be more frequent than that. If you make a request today, we likely would get it done by the end of the day, or give you an answer as to why that's not something that we could add, because maybe it doesn't apply to the entire customer base. So with the requests that we're looking for here, the way that this dashboard is going to get built out, we want to make sure that it is something that every restoration business owner would be interested in. It's something that applies to restoration business owners, not just your business. So that's really the type of feedback we're looking as a standard platform offering for Xcelerate Analytics as a starting point. We do have a roadmap. I'll touch on that a little bit later. So with that, let's take a look. Let's take a look at Xcelerate Analytics. Long time coming. Some of you guys maybe have already seen it. Some of you guys have not. So let's take let's jump in here. Okay. So Xcelerate Analytics, how this is going to work is inside of Xcelerate here, you're going to have a new tab on the far left. For customers today, you will see analytics at the bottom left, but you won't have access to it immediately. So you'll get a landing page, and there you'll get information on how you can enable it. But for anybody who has it, then that same exact button would take you to the analytics dashboard. And you'll see it right here. You have a bunch of different tabs. There's some charts and graphs. There's a map here. And I'm going to walk through what we've built out today as our standard offering. But you also see at the bottom right, there's a request changes. This is that feedback loop I was talking about. When you click on this request changes, you'll just fill out a very basic form. What business are you? Give an email so that we can give that response in a timely manner. What are we looking to change? Do we need to modify one of the elements? Maybe we want to look at something quarterly versus monthly. Do we want to add a new one? The add new element is going to be pretty open. So as long as what you're saying makes sense, like, hey, I know we're looking at gross profit percent. Can we look at gross profit dollars? Done. No problem. Hey, I don't see a way to filter by the division. We'll add it. This one will be a little bit not as frequently used, because if you're like, I want to change that, then if people are using it, we may not want to change it. But we could add one that kind of complements the others. Because as you see with this dashboard here, it can scroll down and you can have, we can just keep adding to the bottom of it and give you a lot more visuals as necessary. So there's really a lot of flexibility there. Also, as we're looking at the tabs, we can add additional tabs. So just add another tab, add another tab. Obviously, we don't need to add too many that it now becomes overwhelming and confusing and people don't know where to find things. So we have to be a little bit cognizant of that. But this is a very basic form for those changes to update the dashboard. So let's drill in. I'm going to make it a little bit larger screen here and drill into what tabs and what dashboards we've built out today, with an understanding that you guys, any of the customers using this today, will be able to change a lot of these things as long as anything that is requested is a reasonable request that a restoration business owner would be interested in seeing from the Xcelerate data. So we'll start with this first tab, the overview. And you'll see on the left-hand side here, we have just our total invoiced amount by quarter. So we're looking at how much have we invoiced, broken down by quarter. And then we have the jobs created by the job type. And you can see if you're breaking some of these things down, as you click them, it can drill down into the information and give you more or less of the totals. This is the jobs created breakdown by quarter. And then as we scroll down, we can see the actual location of our jobs and the job types. And so this is kind of a map view of your jobs, and it's sold jobs. So what this is looking for are jobs that we have sold. If it was just a lead, we're not necessarily showing that. But those are the types of things that are open to interpretation. And if you really wanted to see a map with a different view, we could look into that as well. I'm going to move over to the right here. And the way that, once we move past the overview, the way that the tabs are ordered is kind of from a funnel perspective. So the CRM is going to be starting with your contacts in the CRM. and giving you information about what's been going on in the CRM portion of Xcelerate. Now, if you're not using the CRM portion, then this might not be quite as impactful to you. But for those of you who are adding those contacts and tracking some of those activities and maybe even tracking the sales stage of the contacts, this is going to be a helpful tab for you. And also going back to the form, if you're like, oh, well, on the CRM tab or on that prospecting tab, I really want to see this around the CRM data, great. We will add that in if we can, or we'll let you know if there's a time involved there. But we have a lot of the data already available that we can just generate these reports from. So this top left one is looking at the notes, and it's the last 12 weeks trend. So you can see it's broken down by week. What we've heard very often is monthly is great, but I want to get down to the week because I have a weekly cadence with my staff. And so what we've done is we've built out some of these reports in a weekly cadence so that you can do your one-on-ones, you can do your stand-ups with your staff and get the weekly cadence and the weekly numbers. Now, I want to be upfront here. This data is not going to be reflective of an actual restoration contractor because it's kind of dummy data from our demo site. And we're not doing the stuff that a real restoration business owner is doing because we're using it for other purposes. But what this is showing you is the notes that are added, or essentially the sales activities that are added week over week. And then this is your trend line. So are we trending upwards or downwards week over week? And so that's what you'll see, this trend line over and over. And that's really telling you how are we trending month over month or week over week or period over period. And then this is pretty much the same chart, but it's a longer rear view. So it's going back a whole year and it's looking at the monthly numbers. And so in this case, you can see that from September, we only had 29. Well, we jumped up to 327 in October, 1,000% increase. So really it looks like we maybe just hired somebody and they're really out there hitting the routes and they're getting a lot of those activities inside of the CRM. As we go down, we've got our contact breakdown. So we have all of our contacts. Maybe we imported them. Maybe we've been working on it for years. What's the number of contacts we have? What are the types and categories of people that we have in our system? What type of contacts are we trying to market to? And so this will give you that breakdown so that you can kind of see where the categories are, how many contacts you have broken down. And then you'll also look over on the far right, you see the stage. So not all of you guys are using the sales stage, but this allows you to see, okay, where are we at in the funnel with these contacts? Are they sending us work yet? Or are we still kind of just trying to get them to send us their first job? And also when we're looking at targeting certain industries with our sales staff or our BDMs, what you'll be able to do is filter down to the different categories and then look at your sales stage and identify how many you've won, how many are still in the different buckets, and so on. As you scroll down, you'll actually see a list of the actual contacts themselves, and you'll see how many touches that they've had here. So you'll be able to see the sales stage, how many touches the salesperson has made with that particular contact, and you'd be able to get some more drill down. On the far right, you'll see a breakdown of the categories of contacts that you have, and you can see how many have been added month over month. So if, for instance, one of the things that you are asking your salespeople is to meet adjusters or to meet property managers and to get them added into the system, this is where you can identify how successful that has been. If you're targeting a new industry, create that contact type in Xcelerate and then track here how many contacts have been added in that. And then you can, as you move up, you can look at those sales stages, identify how many are actually sending you work and so on. So this is kind of the early CRM activities. And then at the bottom, we did create a map where you can look at all of those contacts in the CRM. So where are your plumbers? Where are your property managers? Where are they located? If you're targeting routes or whatnot, having a map to kind of see where those contacts are can be very helpful. As we move down to leads, so we have our CRM, we have our prospecting, we're trying to get people to send us some work. Now we're finally getting some work. Great. This is the first step to growing your business, is getting some leads in the door. So how many leads have we been getting in? And so now we're looking at the lead count. We're seeing, once again, that trend line. Are we trending up with leads? Are we trending down with leads? And we're doing it by week versus by month, so that you can really get a good pulse every week at a minimum of that rhythm of your business and whether those jobs are coming in. And then as you scroll down, you've got the types of jobs. So if I got 153 jobs last month, what's the breakdown? How many MIT jobs did I get versus my mold jobs? And you can mouse over these things, you can click on them, and as you click on them, it drills down to the job status of those. So as you're kind of looking at it and trying to identify if some of them have sold or not, you can see that. But this is really focused on the leads themselves and who's been giving you leads, because as you scroll down, you have the referral source. So who's giving them to you? And you can drill down to that as well. And then who is your top referral source? So in this case, as I mentioned, our demo site doesn't have the best data. So null, our famous null, happens to have 994. But as you onboard and you set it up and now you have your data in here, you'll immediately see what is your job information and what your top lead source is, based on that breakdown. As you scroll down, you can also look at the actual list of referred organizations, referred by, and the total estimate amount, the amount of jobs that have been sent. And so just a further breakdown of that. And then we have basically an overall just last 24-month trend at the bottom. And going back to what I had said, if you're looking at your leads, you want to see something else. Maybe for you want to see a different breakdown, or maybe you want to add a toggle for the salesperson or the estimator or whatever it might be. Just let us know and we'll get it added in. It should not be a problem at all. As we move forward, so we've got leads now. Maybe we got 150 leads last month. How many of those leads did we win? How many are still pending? And how many did we lose? And that's what this really shows you. Pretty quickly, you can see, look at all these missed opportunities. Look at how many we did not sell. That's a big red flag there as to maybe we need to improve our close ratio because we're losing out on this many opportunities. So it might not be an issue of getting more leads. It might just be an issue of trying to close them a little bit better. So this gives you that visibility on whether or not you're closing your leads. And you also have a breakdown. So you've got, it could be a sales rep or estimator. From what we've talked to, some of you guys use sales rep to close. Some of you guys use estimator to close these. But whatever it might be, you can click on that and you can then see what their close ratio is. As I had mentioned, our data in the database is not very good. So as I'm clicking it, there's just a bunch of names that likely are not the actual sales reps. But for you guys, it'll be pretty small, a list of just your sales reps and estimators. And as you click those things, you're going to be able to drill down and see what their numbers were compared to some other staff. As you scroll down, one of the other things that this allows you to do is track upsells. So what we found, and a lot of you guys who are using Xcelerate were wanting to get visibility on, is upsells. You might get a mitigation job, but maybe what you're trying to do is start rebuild. You haven't done rebuild yet, and that's something that you're trying to get into. Or maybe you've noticed that your mold remediation division just is really, really low in volume, but the profit margins are really good. And so you want to increase the volume of that. It really could be any type of internal decision there. But ultimately, what we are tracking is when a lead comes in, when a water mitt comes in, whatever type of job comes in, and then there's an additional job type added that would be a different job type, so a different division. We track them as upsells. So how many of these upsells are we actually closing And so in this case, we sold 9 upsold jobs. So we had 36 total sold jobs, but 9 of them were upsells, which were jobs that we got for one type of work, and then we sold another type of work on that. And so tracking that, and you'll also be able to see the ones that you didn't win. In general, the upsells are always going to have a little bit worse of a close ratio percentage, just because of the fact that you might be trying a little bit more hard to get some of these to convert, and you might be opening, let's say, a rebuild on every MIT you get just to give yourself the opportunity to sell it. But this shows you how well those are. So if for instance, in November, you started adding these rebuilds as an opportunity in the system, you'd be able to see how successful that was looking at this upsells by month. And you have the breakdown here on the far right. And then with the jobs that are pending, how large are they? If we have estimators writing estimates, in this case, we've got Matt. He wrote, he's got $1 million sitting in that's pending sales. So if I scroll down and I click on Matt here, I'm going to be able to see all of his jobs. And I also get to see the estimate values that he's written. So it looks like he's maybe still needs to write 3 estimates for these pending jobs. But we've got one job that's $1 million. So that's a really big job. And that's why his numbers are up here. Maybe I go to Seth, his numbers are a lot lower. But if I click on it, you can see that he's got a lot more jobs, but he's writing smaller estimates. And so I'm able to kind of just drill in and see, these are all his pending jobs. These are the ones we're trying to sell. And, it looks like he has a ton more estimates to write because of just the volume of jobs that he was assigned to. And so the drill down functionality is something that also, if you want changes to it, it's like when I click this, I want it to do something a little bit different than it does. That's also something that we would be open to changing if it makes sense. So we've covered overview, CRM, leads, conversion. Now let's get to production. So in production, we've sold the job, and now we're looking at our jobs, our job types, and how much we've invoiced week over week for the job. So which jobs were invoiced is really what this is looking at. I think I mentioned already how poor the demo data is. It is really poor. It looks like we're just not invoicing on a consistent basis. But when you pull it up, you will be seeing a very, very different spreadsheet here. So what you do notice, though, is that the column is multicolored, and it's multicolored based on the job type. So the top of it tells you how much you invoiced for the week, and then the color tells you how much based on the breakdown of the job type. And then we also have that trend line. So you're able to see, week over week, are we moving up or down? Where are we trending? Did we have a huge drop or a huge spike? And then this is the same exact chart, but it's over the month over month, all the way back for the last 12 months. This one here also is a chart that looks really good on customers' systems, but on ours looks awful. It's sorted by the gross profit percentage by the job type. So if I'm looking at my divisions right here of work, I'm able to look at the percentage of profit we have for those job types. And then I'm also looking at the job dollar amount, the actual profit dollar that we're capturing on average per job type. And this is just the breakdown for the year. So you're looking at that, seeing how it looks overall. This, on the production side, this is going to tell you where jobs are sitting stagnant or sitting at some stage in the game. So with any restoration job, there's a cycle time, and cycle time is taking it from the lead to the sales process to the actual work in the field, maybe demo, drying, then the rebuild. There's just so many phases to it. And so what we found is a lot of our customers use many statuses to identify what stage the job is at, which makes a ton of sense. But do they know where a lot of their jobs are getting stuck? Do they know where those jobs sit for a really long time? This job bottleneck gives them very quick insight into which buckets their job types are sitting, and which job types are the ones stuck in those buckets. So in this case, the largest bucket is planning for my water jobs. So luckily, I don't think a lot of you guys run into that problem, but for this demo site, that's what I would see immediately is looks like we sign a bunch of water jobs and are then planning them, but not actually getting to work on the water job. So that's what it's highlighting here. And then we also have the second largest group is a bunch of water jobs that we have not even visited. So they're still in the new status. We haven't even gone and inspected them yet. And so this is really giving you a breakdown of that at a glance. As you scroll down a little bit more, you also have just an overall summary of all the job statuses. And then you can look at the total final invoice time. So how long is it taking to actually get your jobs invoiced after the job's completed? And then you can look at that, the average total invoiced amount by the job type as well. And then at the very bottom, we have just a breakdown list of your jobs and the costs, the cycle time, all in one place. So you're able to look at and break down your jobs themselves here with kind of a spreadsheet view with some calculations. And so you can see these color-coded calculations on cycle time. But this is an example of like, oh, I want to add a column here that calculates something that turns green when it's in this range and turns red. As long as it's something that every business owner would agree makes a ton of sense, then we'll add it as a column and then you guys all get access to it. Moving forward to essentially the last real tab we have right now is billing. And this is going to be your invoices, payments, and also collections. How much have we invoiced over the past week or week over week? How much have we invoiced over the past month over month? What payments have we collected? What's the trend of payments? And then we look at the year over year payments, year over year invoices, average of total invoice, total final invoice days. So how long is it taking to actually get a final invoice in days? And so you can see whether it's trending up or down. And then how long is it taking from final invoice to date paid? Are we moving that kind of days sales outstanding down or up? And then you have some trend metrics here of payments and costs as well. So this one, you can break down as you're looking here, this job type. I have a filter. I can break it down by the different job types and see different information based on that. And then you do have really high level financial information for your business. The last tab that I added here is more a work in process. It does show some map information about your jobs again, broken down by the job type. It also has like a current year job board. But this one right now it doesn't really have any rules. We're just kind of adding things as people see fit. So I think when we're looking at the structure of how we want this to move forward, we do like the progression system. There may be a place for another tab out to the right. There may be a place for additional tabs here to break down production into maybe more buckets. And so those are some of the suggestions we'd love to hear your feedback on for the different areas to drill into. So with that, that's kind of a high level view of Xcelerate Analytics as it stands today. Let me just jump in and see whether or not we have any questions or not. Looks like we do have a couple questions in here. First question was on the 10 to 20% profit margin on rebuild work. I actually don't know the answer on that. That was research that was done by the team, and I don't have like the details on where the source of that was or whether or not it was direct costs only or not. I think it was that was an average based on a really high level reporting across the industry. And then we have a question from Brian. Can you adjust each of these graphs similar to Tableau? Can you adjust what timeframes and fields you want to see? So the answer is Yes, we can adjust any of it. The data that exists is all of your data back to the beginning of time. What we've got here and what we've showed you is kind of our standard set of what we've provided for date ranges and whatnot. But if what you're saying is, no, we need a toggle to say this year versus last year or whatever it might be, throw that into there and we can add it so that it gives you the insight and visibility that makes sense for your business. Can we get a copy of the presentation today for a couple of my colleagues who are not able to make it? I think the answer is yes. I believe we're recording this and we will be able to send it out so you guys can share with your team who are not here. So we have somebody else who said, just to be clear, all the graphics and reporting will be done by Xcelerate and applied to all Xcelerate users. There's not an individual company reporting. And that's a great question. The answer is today, yes. This is a standard dashboard. However, the technology that exists and what we're showing you today is not going to be static. And the technology supports us to build a custom dashboard for every customer. And it could have as many tabs as that customer wants. That's not what we have today as an offering, but that is the long-term plan for this. The primary reason we did not go that route right out of the gate was we need more information on how best to support that, because generally from what we found, it's a labor-intensive process to work with the contractor and get every chart that they want custom to them. And that we just need to make sure that it's that we staff it appropriately, and then we also allow you guys the tools to manage it if that's something you would be interested in doing. So with that though, I am going to ask the question. We've got a lot of participants here. That question leads me directly into a poll that we're going to ask. And let me see if I can find that. Okay. Maybe there we go. Perfect. So the first question on this poll is, are you interested in, that customized, we want it for our business that's fully customized for us, and I don't really care if everybody else needs it. Is that something that you're interested in? So you would say yes or no, or maybe you don't know. And then if that was something that you would be wanting, who would manage that? Because that's the real open question. I know I could probably help you guys get there, but I don't have the time to work with all of the customer base. So there would have to be some plan for us to get those dashboards designed and built and calculated so that it's doing exactly what you guys need. And so that's kind of our longer term plan. But I will say that everybody who is an Xcelerate Analytics user today is going to get the most streamlined approach to whatever offering we have in the future, because most likely what we will do is start with our dashboard anyways and go from there with that as the starting point, and then we'll add to it. So it's the best scenario is to start with what we have, to modify it up to the point where it's finally, it cannot give you exactly what you need, because maybe you just need something specific. You need a tab in there that says Nathan's Jobs, and that's just not going to work because not everybody wants to see Nathan's job, that the tab with Nathan's Jobs. So then that's when we would have to go there. But up until that point, there's still a lot more we can provide and add and give you guys that just would be very, very beneficial at a high level analytics level. So thank you guys for answering that question. I don't know if we have the responses there yet. Let me see if there's more questions here. And we have another question. Can you adjust the financial data to be reviewed by location, role, or individual? Yes, yes, and yes. I believe, if I understand reviewed by, I think the answer is yes, but maybe we need to get a little bit more information. But the location, so that could be, you have multiple locations in the company. and you want to break it down by the location, the answer is yes, that can be added, and that's already added into the current dashboard set. You want role to be able to break down or the individual, yes, the answer is yes. Steve, awesome. We will be sending out, he asked for the recording link. We will be sending out that recording link at the end of this call. So you will get that for everybody who attended. All right. So what I'm going to shift gears to here is pricing. So we do have, because we are partnering with a technology partner, there are some costs that are associated. And so this is something that is going to be our initial offering is a Xcelerate Analytics. It'll be $100 a month as an add-on to Xcelerate, and that will include one user. We are charged per user by the QuickSight system, so there's just there is a cost associated, and as we add users, we do have to then charge those users as well. So we're charging $20 for additional users to get access to the dashboard. So this is the cost for Xcelerate Analytics today. I will say, as we look at that customized, fully customized dashboard, this is not going to be the price for that because it will be a lot more involved on the back end to get those customized dashboards that are unique to your environment. But for the standard offering, you will be able, as I mentioned, to provide good feedback, to customize, to actually craft what this dashboard looks like today, based on the just the standard that it does have to apply to the customer base as a whole. It does have to be something that a restoration business owner would be interested in. So with that, I am going to jump to the Q&A if there are any unanswered questions. I don't see any more questions at the moment. What I will do is I'll stick around for maybe five minutes or so. But for everybody else, I don't want to keep everyone. Okay, I've got. Let's see. No, I don't have it. I don't want to keep everyone unnecessarily long. I know everyone's got busy jobs, busy days, so I'll let everybody else go. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for attending. Thank you guys for sticking with Xcelerate. Or thank you for joining if you're not an Xcelerate user, and hopefully you guys sign up to become an Xcelerate user, because we're very excited to launch this. And yeah, thank you guys so much.